Hello and thank you for joining RT. We go now to our top story. Moscow City Court has freed one member of punk band Pussy Riot, while the other two participants of the performance in the country's main cathedral will remain in jail. RT's Polly Boyka is at the court for us. Polly, what are the recent developments there?
Well, as I speak, the defense team for Pussy Riot is emerging for the two band members who are going to stay in jail. But what we learned in recent minutes is that Ekaterina Samutsevich, one of the Pussy Riot band members, she's been released on a 2-year suspended sentence of probation. That means that she's going to walk free from the courtroom in a matter of minutes, and the same can't be said for her two fellow band members. They are going to be sent to prison for 2 years. Their sentences weren't overturned, they remain the same. Now, Ekaterina Samutsevich, she fired her defense team last week in take one of the appeal in the first hearing, and she now had a new lawyer representing her today who argued that because Samutsevich didn't physically have time to join in the punk prayer protest in Moscow's main cathedral back in February, she shouldn't be sentenced to 2 years in prison. So that was the situation, and that's why she's been released today.
All right, Polly Boyka live in Moscow. Now, to talk more on the Pussy Riot case, we're joined live by investigative journalist Tony Gosling. Tony, thank you for joining RT. Now, we've heard some experts and observers say the band's lawyers are more interested in publicity than setting the women free. So does this decision really come as much of a loss for them?
Well, of course, it's a harsh sentence. Many people will see as a harsh sentence, but really, we've got to look at this case as, you know, whether it's actually just about publicity or whether it's about freedom of expression. I mean, you know, there is, obviously, we want freedom of expression, but what's happened here is the jury has decided in this case that this wasn't actually to do with that they had freedom of expression. It's just that they shouldn't have been doing it in one of the internationally most important cathedrals in the world. And I would say that it's important that there's some sort of punishment here, but this is a little bit harsh. You know, ultimately, there has to be also some kind of look at whether there is much artistic merit in this. I'm actually quite a punk fan, you know, myself. I like punk music, but as far as this goes, this is an appalling. I don't know anyone who's actually gone out and bought this record of this band. I think you're absolutely right that a lot of what's happened here is just simply around publicity, and this kind of thing taking place in a cathedral simply cannot go unpunished. If we weren't punishing it, what we'd be saying is that there's nothing sacred left in this world anymore.
All right, now one of the band members got a separate lawyer ahead of the appeal hearing, that is Samutsvich, and it turned out to be quite beneficial for her as she was freed. Should the other two have followed her lead, do you think?
Well, certainly it would make sense for them all to have the same lawyer, I would have thought, and it shouldn't really depend, should it, on a lawyer as to whether you get freed or not. I would like to see, you know, maybe some further appeal potentially in this case. But let's not forget what else is going on around the world around this case, because it has got loads of publicity. In a way, you know, the part of the punishment is to stop these people cashing in on the free publicity they've got, you know, as this publicity stunt. There's been 2 prizes awarded to these people, one from the Lenin Ono Fund, which is a prize for peace, which I find incredible since this has been such a divisive case. And also, this has been awarded, of course, by Yoko Ono. I'm not at all convinced that John Lennon would have thought of endorsing such a protest, you know, certainly with the dubious music that these girls were doing in the cathedral. The other is the Luther Prize, which has been awarded by the city of Wittenberg, which is where Protestantism started. And what's happened is the city has awarded them a prize, but the people of the city are now protesting against that, saying, you know, we don't actually endorse this sacrilege. I think there's something really a bit sad about a band, an organisation that defines itself by opposition to the church, and it's quite clear through this court case that that's what this is about. We've even had the desecration of Orthodox crosses across Eastern Europe, in different parts of Eastern Europe, in support of Pussy Riot. So this is actually about, I think, an attack on the cathedral, an attack on the church. Having said that, I think, you know, that the sentences are pretty harsh and there may be some kind of appeal.
Tony, Pussy Riot certainly has become a registered trademark. How ethical do you think it is to turn a protest movement into a label? And very briefly.
I think that's absolutely fine, but I don't think that this has got any kind of positive message at all to it, this band. You know, if we were going back to the real punk days with bands like The Clash, Joe Strummer would be turning in his grave if there was some kind of endorsing. You know, he wouldn't endorse this kind of music. The political message is a negative one. It's an anti-church one, and actually the message of most of the punk movement, certainly which started here in Britain, was actually a very positive one. It was about social justice, social change, and challenging authority, corruption within the authorities. And I actually don't think that Pussy Riot have done that at all. Having said that, I must add the caveat that the sentence is a pretty harsh one, 2 years in jail. And I think, you know, other groups will be thinking twice about whether to go along down this kind of publicity stunt line.
All right, investigative journalist Tony Gosling, thank you for your time.
No problem, thank you.